Richard Branson, good morning. Thanks for joining News Breakfast.
Thank you.
Why do you believe the two Australians and all of the others facing imminent execution in Indonesia should be granted clemency?
Well, for a number of different reasons. I'm a global drug commissioner alongside 15 ex-presidents of different countries. We've done a lot of research into the war on drugs on a global basis, and based on science and real studied research, we found that countries that still carry out executions for drug offences have not seen any significant shifts in supply and demand, and the drug trade remains remarkably unaffected by the threat of capital punishment. Furthermore, if you use the death penalty, that removes any chance of forgiveness or for the remorseful. And in this particular case, there are several of the defendants, many still in early adulthood, who've expressed enormous regret for their offences, and they resolve to live better, more purposeful lives. So, we feel the death penalty would be a complete waste.
Now, you are armed with this research. You're even offering to fly to Indonesia to present these findings directly to President Widodo, aren't you?
We are. I mean, I'm willing to go and get on a plane, today, tomorrow, as are a number of the other commissioners. And what we would want to do is try to be helpful. All of our research is evidence-based, and we've studied different national approaches in great depth. And what we've learned is that treating drugs as a health issue, not as a criminal issue, it actually helps lower the number of drug deaths. It limits the spread of infectious diseases like HIV and AIDS or hepatitis C, and it reduces drug-related crime, and it allows people who struggle with addiction to become useful members of society again. And we'd love to be able to show the Indonesian government how countries like Portugal and others have completely overcome their drug problem by taking a very, very different approach.
In fact, Portugal has decriminalised virtually all the drugs in that country. Is that going perhaps just a step too far?
Not at all. Portugal had as big a drug problem as Indonesia has today 10 years ago. The president said, I'm going to try a different approach, and then let's just take, and he decriminalised all drugs, but let's just take the most potent drug, heroin. He said, if you have a heroin problem, come to clinics that we've set up around the country. We will supply the clean needles so you don't spread hepatitis C or HIV. We will supply the methadone so that undercuts the underworld, and they will have nowhere to supply their drugs anymore. We will have a psychiatrist or social worker oversee you when you take your drug fix so you don't overdose. And when you're ready to be weaned off, we will supply the clinics to get you off. And as a result, they've reduced the amount of heroin addicts by nearly 90%. And they've reduced the spread of HIV and hepatitis by about 93%. So it's been an enormous success, and people don't break and enter into Portuguese houses anymore. And the drug issue has become a thing of the past in Portugal. And we'd just love to be able to help the Indonesian government take this new approach, and maybe as a start they could be good enough to offer these 10 people clemency, we will work very hard with them to try to show them how they can get on top of their drug problem going forward in a slightly more sympathetic way.
Equally, though, you're coming out this morning. Our Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, as you know, has been very strongly calling for clemency, other prominent figures too. Are you worried, though, Richard Branson, that this will simply harden the resolve of Joko Widodo? He insists that it's a sovereign country, and we're about to see the carrying out of what are local laws.
Well, look, we definitely would not threaten. All we're saying is there is a better approach. All 15 presidents of Brazil, of Switzerland, of Greece, of these different countries who are part of the Global Drug Commission, since they've left office, they have had their eyes opened by studying in great depth a much better approach, and their own countries have changed tact dramatically as a result. And all we're saying is we want to be helpful, and we've got a new way forward. We're willing to give the Indonesian government our time, our energy, our effort, and what we would ask is for them to consider clemency, and it's within the remit of any government to offer clemency if they wish, and that doesn't go counter to any laws.
You, of course, are the founder of Virgin Australia. You still hold a significant stake in that airline, Richard Branson. You're probably aware that there have been calls for a travel boycott by Australians if those executions happen. Is that something you'd endorse?
I don't think threats are a good idea at all at this stage, or at any stage. I think what one needs to do is what we would love to be able to do is speak with the President of Indonesia and try to give him a way forward, a positive way forward for his country. I mean, the ex-president of Indonesia last week said, you must execute these people to stop the spread of HIV and AIDS. It will not stop the spread of HIV and AIDS. The way to stop the spread of HIV and AIDS is to say to drug users, look, you have a problem. We acknowledge you have a problem. If you were our brothers and sisters or our children, we wouldn't prosecute you for having a drug problem. We would help you. And that's what we'd like to do for all members of our society. So we've written to the President saying, if he'll have us, we'd love to come and talk. And a number of ex-presidents from a number of different countries would come with myself and others to see him. And we want to be as constructive as possible.
So, Richard, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Cheers.